Welcome once again to yet another module 5, which is an ICT strategy for TVET at the national and institutional level. So, in our last unit, we looked at how to plan for the integration of ICT in TVET at both national and institutional level. So today, we're going to look at Unit 5.1, which is ICT integration strategic plan for TVET. And at the end of this unit, we're supposed to learn how to develop the institutional ICT vision. We're going to learn how to develop the institutional ICT mission. We're going to learn how to develop the institutional ICT goals and strategy. And finally, how to communicate the institutional ICT vision, mission, goals, and strategy. So let's proceed. Now, like we used to, if we recall, our first outing is always to ask or identify some probing questions that we will answer or find solutions to at the end of the unit. So we're going to find out if our organization has established a vision for the integration of ICT-mediated teaching and learning, and does this vision match the institutional activities, values, and beliefs, and also the mission statements? The organization established a mission for the integration of ICT-mediated teaching and learning. Has the organization established a strategy for the integration of ICT-mediated teaching and learning? And has the organization communicated its vision, mission, and strategy for ICT-mediated teaching and learning strategy to all key stakeholders? Now, let us look at the content flow chart. Now, if you look at this content flow chart, you will discover that the strategic plan process begins with consultation, then problem identification, view sharing, and then conducting an environmental analysis. And at the environmental analysis stage is where we have the vision, mission, goal, strategy, and the communication. So at each stage of this strategic planning process, we need to look at the visioning process, how to use ACON to prepare a mission statement, two keys to formulate, and then the strategic planning toolkit. Now, LACHEM 204, 2004 identified the advantages of the strategic planning process as such as engaging management, staff, and other stakeholders in dialogue about the vision, mission, and goals of open and flexible learning within specific institutional context. Informing and shaping the curriculum, courses, teaching and learning practices and priorities. Directing organizational activities towards the overall attainment of medium to long-term strategic objectives. Guiding staff development, research and quality assurance in open and flexible learning. Guiding policy-making bodies and institutional committees in their work related to open and flexible learning. Communicating the institution's intention and commitment to internal and external stakeholders. Now, there are various uses of ICT in TVET, and these uses must be considered in developing the ICT vision, the mission, and the ICT strategy. Now, LACHEM advocates a four-stage strategic planning process. 1, a consultation. 2, the identification of the leading problems or opportunities. 3, sharing of views on the organizational strategic options. 4, conducting environmental scan or analysis. And then the development of ICT-mediated teaching and learning vision, mission, objective, and strategy must be based on existing institutional mission, vision, value statement, and strategic goals. So, what are the conditions to create institutional vision? One, the vision must include must include must have an inclusion of a belief system. Now, a value mission statement delineates the goals of the institution and how these goals must be achieved. And a good mission statement typically exemplifies common characteristics. The characteristics includes the vision must be straightforward, concise, and measurable, unambiguous but broadly written, futuristically oriented and not constrained by the present, applicable to all for whom it applies, reasonable but flexible enough to adapt to the institution as it changes and responds to the demands of the world in which we live, driven by principle and not limited to quantitative or qualitative evaluation, and inspiring, motivating, and meaningful. Now, institutions and belief systems are always interdependent. And in that sense, the vision must promote the belief system, must promote the perceived policy effectiveness and environmental governance. It is arguable that people will believe in the vision if the structure of governance reflects congruence between the belief system and the exposed vision. The belief system, therefore, should support the goal of the institution and community at large. It should also reflect the values of the institution, direct the activities of the people. It should also guide the dissemination and sharing of knowledge, be apparent in future planning, and be realistic and be affirmed by outcomes. Now, Walter et al. Proposed a 5-step visioning process. And the visioning process begins with step one, visioning. You need to make a statement of your vision and how ICT will impact your institution in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years, meaning short term, medium term, and long term. Then you need to identify challenges. What are the challenges or barriers to achieve this vision? Step three, you need to prioritize these challenges. Which of these challenges are the most important? Determine the top challenge by voting rather than discussing. Then 4, you identify the needs and assets. What are the needs that will affect our ability to address these challenges? What resources or assets are available to help address these challenges? And then 5, we need to strategize. Given our needs and assets, what strategies could we use to address the challenges? And this involves basically brainstorming. To develop an ICT vision, considerations must be given to strategic components needed for ICT development. The following are questions to consider when developing an ICT vision. How do we create an enabling environment that encourages user-friendly and barrier-free technologies? How do we increase ICT awareness among the disadvantaged and marginalized, as well as other segments of society? How do we support literacy development with a focus on lifelong learning as necessary for improving knowledge and skills? How do we support knowledge sharing and dissemination of information and knowledge? How do we foster the development of human resources that is capable of responding to the rising demands of the information society? Now, there is also a toolkit to create an ICT vision. The toolkit begins with an action, and then each action has an outcome. We need to first of all explore experience curves and review the purposes of our institutions. And what is the outcome when this is done? When this is done, the outcome are documents that contain values and beliefs, documents that contain the institutional strengths, that's the SWOT analysis, documents that involves the needs of potential learners, customers, and target audience, as well as training gap, staffing complements, and other employee needs. And then we need to also examine resource availability and then revenue streaming if applicable. Then after that, the next action is talking about innovation. After talking about innovation, we explore alliances and partnerships. And then we exhaust questions related to creation of ICT specific vision. Now, the document here are the responses to questions and considerations. And then finally, we create a priority listing of information collected in the above and write a vision statement. Vision creation is only one of the 4 steps in devising an ICT strategic plan. Therefore, the steps are vision, mission, goal, and strategy. This sequence allows the goal to be derived out of the vision and mission and the strategy to support the goals. And what is a mission statement? A mission statement is only effective to the degree that its premise is meaningful to those who follows it creed. What makes a mission statement unique is 1, the ability to the identity of the institution for which the mission statement was written, the goal of the institution as expressed in the mission statement, the task of the people who will fulfill the goals, and the values of the institution implied or overtly stated in the mission statement. According to Gilbert, 1970, he developed a toolkit to formulate mission statements called ACOM, named ACOM. Therefore, A stands for accomplishment. Therefore, the statement must describe an accomplishment and not just a behavior. C stands for control, and it means that those assigned to the mission must have primary control over it. O stands for overall objective, which means the statement must reflect a true overall objective and merely a sub-goal. R, which means reconcile. The mission must be reconciled with other goals of the institution. And N, number. A number can be put on it, that is, it should be measurable. Now, goal setting involves a reflective process because it requires people to examine what they want, what they do, what they want, and what they do not want. So one of the first steps in establishing goals is acknowledging that there is something that requires to change. And this begins with getting what you want, creating your realities, and why people set goals. So, in that sense, this toolkit gives us an idea of how the goals should be formulated. And it begins with a desired accomplishment. What is your desired accomplishment? At what condition will you say that this accomplishment has been met? And what standard to be achieved? Now, the conditions should be geared towards achieving the desired accomplishment, and the standard should be measurable, and it should be quantifiable in the sense that at what point should the conditions be met. Now, Lachem provided the examples of vision, mission, objective statement resulting from the e-learning strategic planning process of Samuel Jackman in Barbados. Now, Jackman Prescott Polytechnic could no longer meet the demands through the traditional face-to-face and off-campus method. ICT-mediated teaching and learning was considered as a viable option. The following are the vision, mission, and objectives of ICT-mediated learning as proposed by Samuel Jackman's Prescott Polytechnic in Barbados example. To be a regional leader in developing and delivering open and flexible technical education nationally and internationally is the mission statement. To be proactive in providing quality, inclusive, and cost-effective open and flexible initial and continuing education relevant to the needs and circumstances of the nation, region, and widest possible range of learners. This is the mission statement. Now, these are the list of objective statements. Now, the objectives are to provide open and flexible courses, programs, facilities, and services that are responsive to demands, inclusive, and provided at a reasonable cost, to serve group and individual needs, including those with special needs, by employing a variety of methods and media, to enable the organizational staff to keep abreast of developments in open and flexible learning and technology, and to recognize and reward endeavor in these areas. To ensure quality in open and flexible learning through monitoring, evaluation, reflective practice, and research. To establish strategic alliances with other institutions, sectors, and internationally for the purpose of information sharing, collaborative course development and delivery, articulation, accreditation, and credit transfer. Now, developing a clear strategy is critical also because it's aimed at determining how goals will be achieved. So far, we have looked at the vision, the mission statement, the objectives, and then we are looking at the strategy. Because after stating all these other, making all these other statements, you need to actually determine how these goals, how the mission statement and visions, you can actually achieve them. Because the vision statement led us to stating a mission, getting the mission statement, and that helped us to get the goals, which will lead to the objectives, and then the strategy will now help us to determine how goals will be achieved. Now, a strategy facilitates the development of a plan of action by outlining the primary activities that will be undertaken to achieve the goals as identified. Strategies encompass the objectives or activities that are carried out in the day-to-day operation that produce actual results. This translates the goals into action. It is likely that there will be more than one strategy because there are often several goals. In addition, there may be more than one strategy for each goal. It is important for us to bear in mind that the strategy development should be systematic, rational, and interactive. And strategy takes place over an extended period of time, allowing for additions, changes, and modifications based on the interests of all relevant stakeholders. Therefore, it is subject to institutionalized political forces and should be modified accordingly. So let us review the institution's vision, mission, goals, and strategy. ICT mediated teaching and learning vision and strategy must be flexible and adaptable to changing ideas, technology, and circumstances. And it is necessary to conduct periodic review and refinement of the ICT vision and strategy. This review process can be performed in consultation with key stakeholders using a focus group or survey methodologies. Now, there is a strategic planning toolkit, and then the toolkits must allow decisions to be driven by technology, and then jumping on the everyday doing wagon, which we have already expressed in our Unit 4, which is the planning model for integration of ICT in TVET. So I don't think there is any need for us to start going back to this. Now, after the vision, mission statement, goals, and strategy, we need to actually communicate this plan Now, a good communication plan is critical to the success of ICT integrated teaching and learning initiative. The communication plan should meet the information need of all stakeholders and should specify when, what, how, and with whom to communicate. Some critical elements to consider in development of a communication plan includes there are some critical elements like when initiated, who are we interested in sending these messages to, how are we going to send it, where are we sending it, and to whom will the message go to. Now, for us to effectively communicate these strategies, we need to find out what are we communicating, to whom, at what time are we doing this communication, and who is going to carry out this communication. How is the person going to carry it out, and where will it be carried out? So, finally, let us look at the transformative reflection. As usual, we need to complete this segment of instruction using the transformative reflection activities. So for us to reflect properly, we need to focus on the assumptions that underline our beliefs, feelings, and actions regarding the ICT mediated teaching and learning communication strategy for TVET. We also examine and assess the consequences of these assumptions we have made based on your beliefs, feelings, and actions in relation to the ICT mediated teaching and learning visioning, strategic planning, and communication strategy for TVET. You also consider your learning experiences while completing this segment of instructions. Make a critical reflection regarding the extent to which this instruction has helped you identify and explore alternative set of assumptions or reinforce your initial assumptions regarding the ICT mediated teaching and learning visioning, strategic planning, and communication strategy for TVET. If this instruction has helped you consider alternative set of assumptions, test the validity of these assumptions by participating in a reflective dialogue with a critical friend or by engaging in self-reflection. So we are now at the practice questions. We need to use the transformative reflection experience to develop an ICT plan for your TVET institutions or programs. Your plan should include the following elements: vision, mission, goals and objectives, strategy, and how these statements can be communicated to stakeholders. So if your organization already has an ICT plan for your TVET programs, review them and revise this plan as may be necessary. And then ask a group of key stakeholders in TVET to review the plan